All right, today we're going to dive into a concept that, well, it might just completely change how you think about your motivation, your ambition, and even your daily habits. We're talking about something called the dopamine debt.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. You probably think you're the one calling the shots, right? Driven by your goals and your discipline. But what if you're not? What if there's this invisible current pulling you around? A force that's making you grab your phone without thinking or chase that next big thing? All because you're trying to pay back a debt you didn't even know you were racking up.
Okay, so it's super important to get this straight. This is not some medical diagnosis. It's more like a pattern, a way to describe this feeling so many of us have now. It's this idea that our constant hunt for those big, intense rewards, whether it's a huge career win or just endlessly scrolling on your phone, it actually raises the bar for what feels good. And the result? All the simple, quiet, normal parts of life start to feel, well, kind of flat, a little dull, just not enough.
And that right there, that's the trap. It's a cycle that honestly, a lot of ambitious people know way too well. And it all starts with this fantasy that we've all bought into.
I mean, you know the script, right? Oh, when I get that promotion, or when I finally launch this business, or when I hit that goal, then I can finally relax. Then I'll feel that amazing sense of peace and fulfillment. It's like we're always picturing this finish line where happiness is just waiting for us. But the reality of how our brain is actually wired, it's a bit different.
And this really gets to the core of a huge misunderstanding. We think the trophy at the end is the whole point, right? That the prize is what's going to make us happy. But here's the crazy part. Neurologically, the most exciting part, the real high, is the journey to the prize. It's all about the anticipation, the build-up, that feeling of, I'm almost there. Your brain is literally playing this epic movie trailer about how awesome life is going to be. And that feeling is the real rush. And then what happens? You get the thing. There's this brief little spike of yay, and then nothing. Just silence. That weird hollow feeling, that is this it moment that, let's be real, nobody ever posts about online.
And that, right there, is the heart of the trap. The reason you immediately start looking for the next mountain to climb, it isn't because you're ungrateful. It's not that the goal was wrong. It's because your brain's reward system just got used to the feeling of striving. It literally got hooked on the pursuit, not on the peace of actually getting there.
So why? Why does this happen? What is going on inside our heads that makes the chase feel so much better than actually winning? Let's dig into the science a little.
Okay, here's the biggest myth we need to bust. We always hear dopamine called the pleasure chemical, but that's a massive oversimplification. It's way more interesting than that. Really, it's the molecule of more. It's what drives our motivation to get up and go after stuff. It helps us learn which actions get us rewards, and, this is the key part, it's all about predicting when a reward is coming.
And this is the secret sauce. Dopamine isn't really about getting the reward. It's about the anticipation of it. It spikes the hardest when there's that little bit of uncertainty, that gap between what you think might happen and what you hope will happen. Think about waiting for a text from someone you're into. That feeling of waiting is often way more exciting than the text itself, right? It's the possibility that gets your brain buzzing. The second the reward is in your hands and it's predictable, the dopamine signal actually quiets down.
And boom, that explains the whole emotional roller coaster. The chase feels electric because it's full of what-ifs and possibility. The reward, when you finally get it, is nice, but it's over, kind of fast. And then the after party, it feels strangely quiet and empty because there's no new target to lock onto. Your brain has already moved on, asking, all right, what's next?
Look, this whole process, this is just ancient human wiring. It's been part of us forever. But what happens when you take that old-school hardware and plug it into our modern, super-caffeinated, hyper-stimulated world? Well, that's when it starts to become a real problem. It's like a hidden tax on our well-being.
Think about it. Our brains were built for a world where rewards were rare and you had to work for them. Like a successful hunt or finding some fruit. They were big, occasional events. But today, we're living inside this massive machine that's just pumping out constant low-level stimulation. That infinite scroll, the next video that auto-plays, that endless waterfall of likes and alerts. It's basically a fire hose of cheap novelty pointed straight at our brains 24/7.
And the sheer scale of this is just wild. 2 hours and 21 minutes, that's how much time the average person spends on social media every single day. This isn't a special treat anymore, it's just the constant background hum of our lives.
So what's the real cost here? It's not just about the time we're losing. The real price is a raised stimulation threshold. When your brain gets used to that nonstop flood of novelty,
All the simple, quiet things that used to make us feel good, they start to feel kind of weak. A walk outside? Too slow. Reading a book? Too quiet. And just being still? That can literally start to feel like withdrawal. You get that antsy, restless feeling that makes you reach for your phone just to make it go away. That is the dopamine debt.
Okay, so if we're all stuck in this loop, is there a way out? Totally. And the good news is, it's not about giving up on ambition or success. It's about intentionally retraining your brain's baseline for what actually feels good.
Here's the tough love part. If your whole system is trained to crave high stimulation, the next big win, it might change your bank account, but it won't fix that restless feeling inside. Fulfillment will feel weird. Calm will feel boring. So if just chasing harder isn't the answer, then what is?
It's all about retraining that baseline, and you do it with a few key practices. First up, just reduce the unnecessary spikes. Cut out the stuff you don't need, like having the TV on in the background or scrolling just because. Give your brain a break. Step 2, add a little friction before you act on an impulse. Move that one distracting app to the last page of your phone. Put your phone in another room when you're working. That little bit of extra effort can break the spell. Third, and this is a big one, let yourself be bored. Don't see every empty moment as a problem you have to solve with your phone. Boredom is where good ideas come from. Fourth, start swapping cheap rewards for deep ones. A cheap reward, like a cookie, feels good for a second, and then you crash. A deep reward, like going for a run or having a real conversation, takes more effort but leaves you feeling genuinely better. And last, number 5, learn to love the process, not just the prize. Find the satisfaction in the work itself, in the focus, not just in checking the box at the end.
And you know what? We've got evidence that this stuff actually works. There was a study that found something really interesting. It wasn't about just quitting, say, Instagram. The people who felt the biggest boost in life satisfaction and had less stress were the ones who cut back on their total digital media diet. Less news, less streaming, the whole shebang. It kind of proves the real problem isn't just one app, it's the total amount of stimulation we're dumping on our brains all day long. And that brings us to this idea that just perfectly nails the new goal. True wealth, a rich mind, isn't about needing more and more stimulation. It's about being able to feel things deeply and clearly from less. Real freedom isn't about getting whatever you want instantly. It's about retraining your mind to find real, deep satisfaction in simpler things. It's about becoming more sensitive to the amazing stuff that's already around you instead of always needing a bigger and bigger hit just to feel something. So I want to leave you with this one question. The way out of this whole cycle, it starts when your brain stops asking, okay, what's the next hit? And starts asking a different question. What actually nourishes me? Not just what distracts me for a few minutes, not what gives me a cheap, temporary rush, but what is the thing that leaves me feeling more whole, more present, more at peace long after it's over? What is that for you?